Cancer, a continuously growing global health problem that poses major challenges, most especially in developing countries. Find out how this international distributor of innovative health products came up with a series of solutions to help increase a patient's chance to survive the odds. In 2020, the Philippines hit a record of 354,398 prevalent cancer cases within a 5-year period. But because of poor access to health care, especially for people living below the poverty line, the advances and breakthroughs in cancer remain unattainable to many.
Cancer refers to a group of diseases that's characterized actually by cell growth, abnormal cell growth and proliferation, inflammation, as well as angiogenesis or formation of new blood vessels. It always starts with mutation in the genome or the genetic makeup of a person inside the cell. Before PPARs, most of my patients, they were unable to finish the chemotherapy regimens because of the side effects and because of discomfort during the process of chemotherapy.
Maria's son Dominic was diagnosed with stage 4 rhabdomyosarcoma when he was only 4 years old. While coping with the recovery of her other sick child, Maria found it hard to accept Dominic's condition.
It was actually very devastating kasi with Dominic, it was manifested mga 4 years old na siya eh. Unlike dun sa daughter ko na congenital talaga, baby pa lang. Yung mga bandang September, meron ng umuumbok-umbok dito sa leeg niya. Hindi ko talagang iniisip na cancer kaagad siya until nag-nosebleed siya.
Dominic was prescribed chemotherapy, but his family insisted to rush to an integrative doctor to seek for alternative cure.
Medyo hesitant ako kasi as a mother, I know the side effects ng chemotherapy kasi. So what I did is that I rushed towards the integrative doctor of my daughter, who happened to be PPAR partner doctor of Simply Nature.
One of the hardest decisions to make for people living with cancer is choosing the kind of treatment that would work best. To help patients and their families deal with this growing health problem, one company commits to producing safe, credible, and natural health solutions by drawing on the latest bioscience technology to deliver a series of safe, efficient, and natural products. What is Simply Nature and what does it do?
Simply Nature is a company we created and founded about 10 years ago. Our mission is to find effective health solutions for people. So we provide natural products that work in combination with conventional therapy and medicine.
As an international company that provides natural solutions for cancer, metabolic syndrome, and degenerative diseases, the management upholds a health philosophy that centers on whole food nutrition as the frontier in health management.
When we talk about choosing treatment, especially in the area of cancer, patients are really afraid of chemotherapy because of its side effects, and they tend to then look towards natural products. But this is not either conventional or natural choice. At Simply Nature, patients can have the best of both worlds. Our protocols work with conventional chemotherapy to minimize its side effects so that they can get the best treatment using both conventional and natural together.
Cancer is like a virus. It continuously evolves, it mutates. So it can develop defenses against our usual treatment modalities like chemotherapy.
Like I said, chemotherapy and radiation therapy have a lot of side effects. So more often than not, patients stop their treatment because of these side effects. It's very important to have the support.
With the supplements that we give the patients, there will be lesser side effects, so they will be able to finish their chemotherapy protocols more comfortably.
This company introduced PPARs, which is touted as one of the best natural ways of solving serious health problems.
PPARs stands for peroxisome proliferator activating receptors. It's basically a nuclear receptor found inside the cells. Now, when these receptors are activated, the benefit that you can get from that is, number one, cellular differentiation. Number two, it's to promote fatty acid metabolism. If you have better insulin function, your blood sugar will naturally go down. And another one is to induce cancer cell death by modulating the immune system.
As a sole distributor of PPARs, the company promotes its use to many reputable health institutions worldwide and actively organizes corporate health conferences and public health talks in Asia.
Simply Nature PPARs is made out of a special strain of these types of microalgae. It is very effective by protecting the bone marrow. We maintain the integrity of the immune system of the patient, which is very important to prevent infections and to fight off the cancer itself. And also, Simply Nature PPARs is also very dense in nutrients so that the patient can recover faster because of better cellular healing.
Sabi ko parang na-lead kami to an extraordinary and I must say amazing journey. I'm very proud of him. At a young age, na 8 years old, he believes that it's his purpose to siguro encourage other people then. We would like to really pay it forward with the knowledge that there's really like Simply Nature that can help people with cancer very much.
When fighting cancer, living healthy is very important because it allows us to pursue what is important to us in life, and that's what it's all about. When we can help a patient move from being bedridden to getting up, to be lucid in thought so that they can have conversations with their loved ones, it gives the whole process of fighting cancer a whole new meaning. And that is what drives us at Simply Nature.
But I really wanted to share yung poem from Chadao. So 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, the sort of house I live in, or the kind of car I drove, but the world made the difference because I was important in the life of a child.
Good morning, everyone. We are from Simply Nature, and that is Tito Shen, and I'm Tita Jesslyn.
Jesus loves me.
Jesus loves me.
For our gratitude, Mr. Shan.
Ito na ba ang mga sundalo ng Israelita? Maliit man ako sa iyong paningin, malaki ang aking Diyos. Tutulungan ako ng aking Diyos at lalabanan kita at tatalunin kita.
Nayanig ang paligid sa pagbagsak ni Goliath.
Si Mother Ricky, pasalamatan naman natin si Mother Ricky at patakpakan din natin siya kahit siya ay nasa ibang lugar ngayon.
Paano kayo di gagaling, di ba?
Pinupurit, sinasamba kita.
And Lord, we believe you for testimony for every child in this place. In Jesus' name we pray. And all God's people say, Amen! Hallelujah!
Nung 2022 po, yung parang inipon ko talagang pera pambili nung Simply Nature, nung vials, ng PPARS. Yun po yung iniinom ko.
Cancer lang siya, strong tayo. Kaya patuloy lang po tayong lumaban kasi may Panginoon tayong gumagabay sa atin lagi. Yun lang.
And on behalf of the Simply Nature team, God bless you all. Maraming salamat for blessing us this day. We hope that we have made you all happy. God bless you once again. Here in Simply Nature, we are always with you from start to healing. Thank you, everybody.
CA markers.
Mataas siya. Then, nung after 3 months, nung pagtitake ko ng Simply Nature, doon, naging normal na siya until now. Kahit si Dr. Johan na gulat siya kasi biglang normal agad in just 3 months, nag-normal agad yung CEA ko. 1 year and 5 months, cancer-free. Dapat may food supplements kayo, like Simply Nature, na proven and tested ko na. Talagang hindi ako pwedeng mawala ng Simply Nature na.
2019, I was being diagnosed a cancer of my uterus. So I was shocked. Sabi ko, bakit nagkaroon ako ng ganito? Samantalang hindi ako mahilig sa pagkain. I'm sorry, basura. Started the tablet and then the powder. Tinry ko din yung yung tawag dito.
Gel?
Yeah, yung gel. Yes. It's really good. After 2 months ng aking therapy and taking PPARS, sabi ni doktora, magpa-laboratory ka na. So, nung nagpa-laboratory na ako, praise God, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, lahat normal. To God be the glory. Salamat sa Diyos. Sa 2 months ko po ng aking pag-take ng PPARS, ako po ay cancer-free.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Simply Healed. I'm here with Dr. Jansen.
Hello, Shai. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're so happy to do another episode, and today we are answering a very commonly asked question. Does sugar feed cancer? Doc, let's jump straight into it. Does sugar feed cancer? Because I know oncologists and many nutritionists will highlight that sugar feeds cancer. So what's your take on that?
Well, what they say is true, no? So yes, indeed, sugar feeds cancer cells, but the healthy cells also feed on sugar.
So basically, sugar is needed by both cancer cells and healthy cells. So we can't deny our healthy cells sugar. So what impact does this have on a cancer patient? Should cancer patients opt to go for a low sugar diet? And maybe that's, and actually many cancer patients do, and they end up taking a keto diet. So Doc, maybe you can comment on low sugar diet, is it really necessary, and maybe a bit on keto diets, because I think many cancer patients may try keto diet just to go on low sugar.
Yeah, so here's the thing, no? So what you say is true. Cancer patients, usually when they go for a consult, when they go and ask their oncologists, their nutritionists, what should I eat? The first thing that they advise is, okay, don't eat high sugar foods. So,
They really say don't.
Yeah,
they really tell you
yes.
to go for low sugar
low
food.
sugar food. So at least the low glycemic index food. So low glycemic index means that when you eat the food, it
doesn't get
influences
absorbed quickly.
It doesn't get absorbed quickly. It's the influence. If the food is high glycemic index, when you eat the food, it spikes up your blood sugar. If it's low glycemic index, then it doesn't spike the blood sugar so much. No, so oncos and nutritionists tend to advise patients, okay, don't eat high sugar foods. So usually patients, when they hear that, okay, don't eat high sugar
Doesn't
foods.
it include fruits?
Yeah, that
But I think we very naturally think that fruits and vegetables are good for you when you are unhealthy.
Yes.
So when you have cancer, but yet it seems like the advice is not to take fruits.
Yeah, it's actually very common sense to think so and to do so.
Yeah, it's very common sense. An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there are certain aspects or certain characteristics of fruits why you should still continue eating them even if you have cancer, which we will explain later.
Okay. But the quick answer is, even though fruits are high in sugar, because many of them are sweet, you should still take them.
Yes, you should still eat them. Because
even though sugar feeds cancer.
Yes.
And you will explain that later in the program. Alright, so stay tuned.
So first let us establish, is it good for you to shy away from carbohydrates and just opt for a very low carbohydrate diet, like a ketogenic diet?
Diet.
Yeah.
Not only
So
cancer patients,
let's
even normal
establish-
people.
Yes, let's establish that first. Okay? So here's a study that investigated ketones, the ketones influence on metastasis or tumor growth. Yeah. Okay? So a ketogenic diet actually increases metastasis by 2.5 times.
250%. 2.5 times. That makes cancer lethal, because that's the part of cancer when it spreads, and that's what really kills you when cancer spreads.
So how did they find out? It's because when they investigated where does ketones usually gets produced. It's in the liver. Okay? And when they found out that in breast cancer patients, where does breast cancer usually metastasizes to? It's places where there are high ketone production, like the liver. Okay. Now, Doc, it doesn't mean that if the breast cancer metastasizes to the liver, it just shows that this is where ketones are. So usually cancer cells would metastasize to
where ketones are,
the liver. But will this affect my overall survival? Okay, will this affect my quality of life? Will this affect how long I live? So in this graph, they showed that breast cancer patients who have very high ketone levels actually live shorter lives than those breast cancer patients who have lower ketone levels inside their body.
And for those who are very serious in their ketogenic diet, they actually go and buy ketone strips. They test their level of ketones in the body, and they want it to actually be high. But the graph shows that your survival probability actually drops from 80% down to 60%. And that's 20%. That's a huge gap, 80 versus 60 on survivability. So it goes beyond a doubt that ketones is not a ketogenic diet is not an ideal diet for cancer in general.
Yes. So now that we have established that okay, ketogenic diet might not be a good idea, so
We go back to our normal diet, right?
We'll go back to our normal diet,
Which has
carbohydrates. Yes, I need to eat carbohydrates, but you have to choose now.
So Doc, how exactly does sugar influence cancer growth?
Okay, here it is. First, before I go to that, to answer that question, we have to establish there are two different types of carbohydrates. We have the complex carbohydrates and the simple carbohydrates. So what are these? The complex carbohydrates are your whole food plants. Okay? So imagine a carrot, imagine an apple, imagine a mango, imagine green leafy vegetables. Those are whole foods. Okay? And those are your complex carbohydrates. So if you eat those kinds of foods, okay, these foods tend to have very low glycemic index, meaning when you eat those foods, the carbohydrates in them will not get absorbed easily by your intestine. Okay, and if the dietary carbohydrates are not absorbed easily by the intestine, then the blood sugar will not spike so high. If the blood sugar doesn't spike so high, then your insulin will not spike so high as well, which actually insulin has a very important role in cancer occurrence and in cancer progression. Okay? On the contrary, okay, what if you eat simple carbohydrates? So what are simple carbohydrates? These will be your fruit juices, your sodas, your pastries, your candies, your junk foods,
your chocolates.
Yeah, your chocolates, your breads, okay, your refined grains like your white rice, okay? So any product in the market that has very low fiber content, okay, that would now contribute to a very high absorption rate of glucose or carbohydrates in your intestine. If that happens, your blood sugar will spike so high. And to counteract the spike in blood sugar, your body or your pancreas would also equivalently produce a high enough insulin. So if your body is producing so high insulin, then the elevated insulin levels will now set you up for set up the environment to develop cancer and to drive cancer progression.
So Doc, just to make everything very crystal clear, insulin is actually a tumorigenesis or a catalyst for tumor growth.
Yes.
Cell growth, actually.
Yes.
So again, how did they find out that insulin contributed to cancer?
Yeah. So take a look at this graph. Okay?
Oh wow, this graph looks a bit complicated, Doc.
Okay, now please take a look at this chart. Yes, I agree it is very complicated, but I will simplify it for you. Okay? Take a look or focus your attention on these two images. Okay? Insulin resistance and obesity. Okay? What are the factors that makes you resistant to your insulin or makes your insulin function less? No? Or what are the factors that can make you overweight? Okay, it's lifestyle factors.
Yeah, it says that genetics and environmental
factors. But you know, if you compare genes and environmental factors, the influence of genes over these two is actually very minimal. Environmental factors still has a very significant effect or a very big effect. Okay, so what are the environmental factors? The food you eat, how physically active you are, how much sleep do you get, how stressed you are. Okay, so do you have any vices? Okay, so these are the environmental factors that can influence you becoming resistant to your insulin or you becoming obese or overweight. Now, once you have these two factors okay, you now have a cascade of effect that can lead to cancer occurrence, cancer progression.
Yeah, I see all the terrible end result at the bottom. You know, you look at DNA damage. That's exactly what happens for cancer cells. Anti-apoptosis, which is your cells grow without dying, so it multiplies out of control. Migration means metastasis.
Metastasis, yes.
And angiogenesis, this means the growing of blood vessels, which causes your tumors to grow faster because they create blood vessels to themselves, have their own special suction feed of nutrients. So all these factors, Doc, so basically lifestyle, high sugar intake will lead, anything that leads you to have diabetes, basically is going to cause you to have cancer, because once you're diabetic, your insulin resistance, your insulin levels in your body goes up. It promotes tumor growth.
Yes, absolutely right.
So now I understand. They've always said that, you know, eating fast food and drinking soda, all these leads to cancer. But before you reach cancer, you will be diabetic. You will have high blood cholesterol. Now at least we understand being diabetic, how does it develop into cancer? For the diabetic part, high insulin levels will lead your body to have high tumor growth factors, to put it in simple English. And that will lead to the development of cancer, or to make a cancer patient cancer go worse. So actually, it's very bad for a cancer patient to be on insulin shots.
That's very true, no? So how did they find out about this? Where did this theory come from? So the theory came from, they studied diabetic patients. Both diabetic patients are insulin requiring. However, only there is this group where they gave gave these patients insulin shots, and then they looked at their risk for developing cancer. The other group are insulin requiring, but they did not give them insulin shots. Then they observed their cancer risk. So at the end of the study, they found out that those diabetic patients who injected insulin actually has a higher risk of developing cancer.
So today we learned that diabetes really is one of the pathways to developing cancer, and it's because of your elevated insulin levels. So Doc, you talked about we can't avoid sugar. We want to take complex carbohydrates. If you were to put it into the most simple way to explain, what's the difference between complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates? What's the key defining difference?
Okay, complex carbohydrates are foods that are made by God.
Okay.
Foods that are made by nature. Okay? Simple carbohydrates are made by man.
Oh, that's very easy to hear.
Yeah, or processed by man. Okay? So that would be your bread. You cannot see.
What about pasta?
Pasta is also simple carbohydrates. It's also processed.
Okay. So it's brown rice, red rice, black rice.
So at the very foundation, right? Just ask yourself, can you find anywhere in the world that says bread plant?
Okay, breads don't grow on trees. Okay.
Yes, apples grow on trees. You can plant avocado. You can avocado tree. You can plant mango trees. You can harvest rice. You can basically every plant foods that you can imagine. Okay, but you cannot find elsewhere. You know, cake tree, cake fruit,
cake tree.
bread fruit, or bread tree, or bread plant. There's no such thing.
No such thing.
Okay, so
there we have
that's
it.
how you do it.
Anything that is natural, made by God, is complex carbohydrate. Anything that is man-made, processed by man, is simple carbohydrates. So Doc, we all need sugar. We can't avoid it. So the strategy not to take sugar is wrong.
Yes.
And cancer patient needs energy, because you need your immune system to work, you need your organs to work. So don't skimp out on sugar. However, don't take simple sugars. Take complex carbohydrates. And that is food that is naturally made by God. So if you want to eat rice, don't eat white rice. Eat brown rice, red rice, black rice. And if you can't avoid, for example, you're somewhere where they only serve white rice, so the advice would be then to eat lots of fiber, right?
Yes. Compensate on other plant foods.
Mix your fiber with your carbohydrates, and then you will lessen the impact of the simple carbohydrates, because the fiber is also one of the key difference between a complex carbohydrate and a simple carbohydrates. All right. So there we have it. We have all the keys. Today we answered the question: is sugar bad for you for cancer? The answer is sugar feeds cancer, but your healthy body also needs sugar. The key is to take complex carbohydrates and avoid simple carbohydrates. Doc, that brings back to one final question. So it is good to eat fruits, because fruits are made by God.
Yes.
So they are rich in fiber, they won't have a high glycemic index. What is bad is to drink fruit juice.
Yes, because you remove the pulp, you remove the skin, you remove everything that the fruit has except the juice.
All right, so the advice is that eat fruits, but don't drink fruit juice, okay? Just eat the actual fruit itself, right? And I noticed, Doc, if we blend fruits, even if it's a smoothie, and it's much healthier drinking a smoothie than juicing. However, we tend to overeat if we blend.
Yes.
You know, if you eat one banana, you get full.
Yes,
but you can
true.
blend easily three bananas into a shake, and you don't notice it, right? So to everyone, to help manage your sugar intake so that you don't have a spike, which leads to insulin, which is a tumor growth enhancer, is to actually eat the actual fruit itself, because you will be full faster, you have more complete nutrition, and you avoid that sugar spike. So, Doc, before we go to AMA, Ask Me Anything segment, let's try to answer questions that we received from our viewers previously. Okay, Doc, flashing on the screen right now is a question from our audience. It says, Doc, what comes first? You're diabetic and you get cancer, or you have cancer and you might get diabetes? Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. Diabetes is a risk factor for cancer. So, you can...
Most likely.
Yeah, most likely you will be diabetic first before you get cancer. However, there are some cases, because diabetes is just one explanation of how people get cancer. No? It's just one risk factor. So, there are other cases wherein you can get cancer first, then be diabetic later on. But
that's rare.
Yeah, but that is no, not really rare, but it's a different pathway already.
And that's likely because of treatment, right? That causes the development of diabetes after
treatment,
cancer.
Also your lifestyle, if you didn't change your lifestyle at all. Because when you get cancer, you get stressed, right? So being stressed can also increase your blood sugar. So that can also...
Wait. Being stressed can increase your blood sugar?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
How does that work? Sorry, you see, we ask a question and suddenly a whole new topic comes up.
So how does stress increase your blood sugar? If you're stressed, your cortisol increases. Once your cortisol increases, cortisol is a hormone that increases your blood sugar. So cortisol is diabetogenic. Okay, so that's how stress increases your blood sugar. Also, that is the direct cause, no? The indirect relationship between this is the food that you eat. Because if you're stressed, the food that you select are usually processed foods, foods that are very high in calories, foods that are very oily and fatty, foods that are very high in sugar content. So
that's a double whammy.
Yeah, that's a double whammy, and just by behavior, on top of the cortisol that that your body is already secreting, then you eat these junk foods, then that would contribute further to the rise in your blood sugar.
Wow. Okay. Since we're on the topic of sugar, this is a question from Karen Chiang. If we opt out white sugar, should we replace it with brown sugar, organic brown sugar? Will that be okay?
Okay, for sugar, regardless of what type of sugar that is, sugar is processed. So white sugar, brown sugar, or whatever color your sugar is, that would still be the same. Okay?
Also, so when we choose brown sugar at the cafe over white sugar, we're not making a healthier choice?
No, you're just fooling yourself.
Oh my god! So we're not making it's not a healthier choice.
No.
What about Muscavo?
It's the same. Sugar is sugar. That's
devoid
of fiber.
So let's go for the one that's cheaper, right? The white sugar is the cheapest.
But whenever you consume sugar, just put very small amounts.
I'm still struggling with this. So all this time, when I chose brown sugar over white sugar, I thought I was making a healthier choice. I'm not.
You're not. You're not.
Okay, that's pretty devastating.
Sugar.
That's really devastating. All right, but
here's
good to know.
Here's the thing. Okay, for rice it's different.
Okay. Now, that's the second part of this question. White rice versus brown rice or red rice. Is the brown or red rice better than the white rice?
Okay, white rice is refined grain. Okay, so how does the rice industry does this? So when they harvest palay, in Tagalog it's palay, but rice. Let's just say that it's rice. Okay, when they harvest rice, it still has the grain still has the brown outside. Okay, so the brown outer covering
is drying away, right?
Yes. So that is the fiber, and the vitamins are there. So of course, if you try to cook rice that way, it would take a very long time. It would be very hard to chew. It would be very hard to swallow. So what the manufacturers do, and also to prolong shelf life, what the manufacturers do is to remove the outer covering, the husk or the bran. So when you remove the bran, that is already polished rice or your refined grain or your white rice.
But if you eat the original brown rice or red rice, it is rice in its natural form.
Yes, it is rice in its whole food form.
And that is why it is God-made, it is complex carbohydrates.
Yes, so because you retain all the vitamins, you retain the fiber. Okay, so it would still be better to consume brown, red, or black. But for cancer, no, because brown, red, or black would still have differences when it comes to its effect on cancer.
The best rice is
red.
Red.
I would choose red over black and brown.
Okay, so if you do a ranking, it'll be red, the best,
Red,
followed by
black,
then
brown.
brown. Red, black, brown. All right, that's the priority in its value to a cancer patient. So go for red rice if you can find it. Last question, Doc. Back to the question that I mentioned just now. More specific, is it okay for a cancer patient to eat 4 or 5 different fruits during breakfast? For example, slice of papaya, slice of dragon fruit, maybe half a banana, a little bit of avocado, and some pineapple.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. No, actually, I would rather I would rather you eat different kinds of fruits rather than just one singular type of fruit. Yeah, because in this way, if you eat different types, then you get different vitamins, different phytonutrients. Yeah, from different kinds of fruits, and this would really benefit your gut microbiome to make sure your immune system is really strong, and so your body can fight off cancer.
You know, and of course, people will then say, I take 5 different types of fruits and I juice it into a juice. That's not good.
That's not good because you remove the pulp, you remove the fiber.
And also the fact that, you know, when you drink a cup of water or a cup of juice, in 5 seconds, 5 seconds, you can drink an entire cup of fruit juice. However, it's very difficult to eat the contents of a fruit juice. Chewing, you can't eat it in 5 seconds.
Yes.
So there is no spike in your sugar. If there's no spike in your sugar, a gentle increase of your sugar does not cause a spike in your insulin.
Yeah.
So again, that is once again a mistake. Fruits are healthy for cancer patients, just don't juice it. I think, thinking about it, you don't even blend it, because blending, you control, but you still have the spike because you can finish the whole plate of fruits in 5 seconds because you gulp it down.
Yeah.
So still chew your fruits, eat it normally, that's the most healthy, and you're advised to do so.
Yeah, and for cancer patients, no, very important, if you're someone who has no choice but to drink your food, make sure that the speed wherein you drink the smoothie is the same. It's slow. It should be the same pace as when you're actually eating.
Okay, so you can go for a smoothie. Never go for juice, because juice removes the fiber and all the important nutrients. If you blend it in a smoothie, it's still all there. However, you got to drink your smoothie as slowly as you are chewing the actual fruit.
Yeah.
So it takes 15 minutes to finish 1 cup of smoothie.
Yes, take 15 minutes.
Slowly,
yes.
So that there's no spike in your sugar.
Correct.
All right, Doc, let's now move to the actual live Q&A, the Ask Me Anything segment. I see the questions are coming. Let's go.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sheila, and you are watching another episode of Simply Healed webinar brought to you by Simply Nature. We are very happy to have you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Tonight's episode actually is in line with the World Cancer Day and answers the question, does sugar feed cancer? I am sure that you have learned so much from the 2 gentlemen who discussed our topic for tonight. So without further ado, I'd like to call on the PPARS expert from Singapore and the CEO of Simply Nature, Mr. Sean Lim, and of course, our lifestyle medicine doctor, Dr. Jansen Calalan. Good evening, Sir Sean, and good evening, Dr. Jansen.
Good evening, Sheila. Good evening, Doc.
Hello, Sean. Hello, Sheila. Good evening, everyone.
Wow, Doc, today we have a very good viewership. It looks like the title connected with a lot of people. Yeah, Doc, I just, before we even answer questions, you said something to me during the discussion, which is that all sugars are bad. For many years, I thought when I went to a cafe or when I went out to eat, I would always choose brown sugar over white sugar. And then, when I came to Philippines, I got to know this thing called Muscova sugar, and I thought that was healthier. And you just blew everything I did for the last, 10 years out of the water. So it's true. Brown sugar, Muscova, and white sugar, they're pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's all refined sugar. As long as you refine the carbohydrate, it would practically have the same effect on the body. Of course, high glycemic index, that means your blood sugar will spike up too high. Subsequently, of course, that will have a consequent spike in insulin, and then it promotes inflammation even.
So Doc, just now prior to the AMA segment, we were just talking a bit privately. You shared that there are two types of sugar which are positive and a few sugar types which are neutral. So these are a grade above the white, brown, and even the Muscova sugar. So can you share with us what is the positive sugar that we can take in our life?
So far, when they did the comparison, so this comparison is among refined carbohydrates already, so different sweeteners.
So this is the best of the worst, in other words?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what they measured was the antioxidant content after refining. Okay, so far, the highest one is blackstrap molasses. Blackstrap molasses syrup retained the highest amount of antioxidants after refining. Okay, next is date sugar. Okay,
date sugar.
Yes. Those two, I think you can buy from Healthy Options or your local supermarket. Yeah, you just have to find them.
And those who are anemic, blackstrap molasses is also high in iron. So that's also another positive thing about it.
Yeah. So the following one, which is kind of a neutral effect on the body, would be your agave.
Yeah, I use agave.
Yeah, your erythritol and your honey.
Honey.
Okay.
Doc, what about Captain suggested coconut sugar and stevia? I mean, stevia is touted as pretty friendly, right? What's your view on stevia?
On stevia, you cannot consume a very high amount, so don't consume more than 2 servings or more than 1 serving in a day, because too much stevia can have toxic effects on the body. Okay, yeah. So that's my take on stevia. Don't consume too much, although it is okay with a little amount. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that is interesting. Again, I personally use agave, so I'm glad to know that that's a neutral. Date sugar sounds delicious, actually.
Yes, because well, if you for those of you who have tried eating dates, dates are they are sweet, but it's not too sweet. Yeah, because in one sitting, I mean, me personally, I can eat 10 dates in one sitting.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about coconut sugar?
Coconut sugar is also the same with the regular sugar.
Yeah, I was guessing. Coconut is not sweet, right?
Yes.
Coconut is not sweet. So that means to make coconut sugar, they add sugar to coconut milk?
It might be a possibility.
Yeah, because of course, coconut. We've all eaten coconuts in Philippines and in Singapore.
Yeah,
so they're not really, coconut is not really sweet.
Yeah, and assuming that they don't put added sugar.
I'm gonna Google now. How do you make coconut sugar?
Coconut sugar. Well, coconut is not sweet, so they would have to harvest a lot of coconuts to produce that one sugar. Okay, they would have to refine it a lot of times. So it's an ultra processed food. So for ultra processed foods like these, avoid them as much as you can.
Yeah, it's made from coconut palm sap. All right, it's not from the coconut fruit, it's from the coconut plant. All right, and that's what makes it sweet. Okay. Got it. All right. So I think that answers it. What we are very clear about is agave, which is very commercialized, easy to buy anywhere in any supermarket. That's your neutral sugar. So that's the one that you can go for. Stevia. Stevia is something that we hear quite often. I heard of stevia so much, I think 5 years ago. It was like every health food used stevia.
Yeah.
But I did notice nowadays, I don't hear stevia so much anymore. So thank you, Doc, for highlighting. They might have found something about stevia, and it's now not the prominently used sugar. Now it's really just agave, honey. Yeah, okay, that's great. We can go to the questions now. I just wanted to clear that up since this program is about sugar.
Yeah, we haven't actually started, but you have answered one of the questions from our viewers, Miss Daisy Verso, because she's asking about stevia, if it's okay. So now you have the answer, Miss Daisy.
Yeah, I know everyone that we all have some sugar. We might be an advocate for one type of sugar over another. Okay, so what I just want to say here is that since all these options are readily available, your stevia, your agave, date sugar not so easy to find, bootstrap syrup, health store, blackstrap, not bootstrap, blackstrap's molasses is it's still easy to find but harder to use, not commonly used. So I think with all the options available, let's just go. Our recommendation is to go with the one that is really safe and there's no controversy about it. You don't have half the people believing in it and another half not believing in it. So I would suggest agave for those who want commercially available sugar. And if you can get your hands on some date sugar, I'm sure that would be a great recipe to add to your cooking, because that sounds absolutely delicious. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Doc. Alright. I'd like to greet, of course, our Lilibet from the Philippines. Thank you for watching. She has a question tonight.
Okay, yes.
Doc, how can healthy diet and lifestyle help people with cancer? And what are the foods to avoid and what to eat?
Okay, so it's very important, no, if you have cancer. Well, okay, let's go for the best way to win against cancer first. So the best way to win against cancer is to prevent it from happening in the first place. Okay, and so far across all dietary patterns, the best is a whole food plant-based diet in preventing cancer. Okay, so a whole food plant-based diet consists of 4 food groups. No, you have to what do you call this? Rotate your food choices among these 4 food groups. Okay, so your fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and your legumes. So for everybody's information, legumes are beans, nuts, and seeds. Okay, so anything that grows out of a pod. Okay, so you only choose among those 4 food groups, and it's very important that as much as possible you eat a variety of different plant foods, so you get the whole spectrum of different phytonutrients, your vitamins, no? Okay. Yeah, so when you have cancer already, this is the same diet that can prolong your overall survival, increase your quality of life, and to reduce prevent cancer recurrence. Okay, this is also the same diet. Okay, so that's how that's the role of a whole food plant-based diet in cancer.
I just want to add also for all the viewers here, I think instinctively we know that eating vegetables is healthier, right? And yet, because we deal with cancer patients, we honestly meet all sorts of cancer patients. Some insist on eating their steak. They even if they have cancer, they want to eat their steak, right? And some of them eat steak and the cancer gets worse. Others eat steak and it seems okay. It seems like nothing negative. Not that it made it positive, but it seemed to be neutral. So I just want to share with you, it's important to note that, with all the things that we are sharing with you, right? Even people who exercise, live a very healthy life, take lots of supplements, they can get cancer. And some of us will say, see, look at that person. Such a healthy living person. Also got cancer. Let's just drink and smoke every day anyway. It won't make a difference. No, it's not. That's not how we look at the facts. The facts is some of us are born with genes, or there is somewhere along the line the way our health was built up, right? We are more resilient, or we are not as susceptible to certain things. But what the science shows is that if all things are equal, if you take meat, you're going to make your cancer worse. All right?
Yeah,
if you take
correct.
vegetables, you're going to increase your chance. Maybe you were born with a 70% chance of getting cancer. And because you ate vegetable, that chance drops to 40%. That's still much higher than other people, but it's much lower than what you were born with. So what you eat does have a significant impact on whether cancer manifests in your life or not. Okay? And one thing from my aunt had stomach cancer, and she was really at the death's door. Even the surgeon told her going into the surgery when she might not even come out of it alive, but she did. And she seemed to be gaining strength. So one of her friends with good intentions, they belong to the older generation. So when they visit the hospital, the friend took like 8 hours to boil beef bone soup for my aunt, believing that, the cow is so strong. So if you drink the bone of the cow, obviously it's very nourishing. And my aunt just finished a surgery. So it makes good logic it seems logical to my aunt's friend that this will nourish her and help her recover from her surgery. Unfortunately, that one beef stew was what turned everything around negatively. And my aunt within a month actually passed on. So this was my personal experience, how one bowl of soup made such a big difference, because it was very clear. It was that point that was like the turning point. Okay, so I just want to share with you, you could be the one where even if you take one steak, that could turn around your cancer. We actually have some patients. I remember Christine, who actually leads a very strong cancer group. 200 or 300 or maybe even 1,000.
It's 1,000.
And she shares her story. She was doing well. She more or less was able to almost reverse her cancer, almost in remission. All she did was take native chicken. Not even the commercial hormone injected chicken. She took the native chicken, that's the one that is runs free.
The free range
chicken.
Free
range chicken. I mean, really from the village kind of free range chicken, not the commercial free range chicken. She just took a few of that a few times, and her cancer markers shot up. And she was the one who said it was just that chicken. She knew. So when she stopped it, guess what? Her cancer markers went back down. So again, you could be the one. So cancer is not something you gamble on. So the advice that we give you, it may be something you already intrinsically know, but please don't point to examples and say, hey, that person eating steak and he's a cancer patient and he seems to be doing well. He might be lucky. You might not be so lucky. So I hope you really take the dietary advice to heart. All right.
Yes, sir, Sean. Thank you, Doc Jansen. Another question coming from Ms. Daisy again. Hi, I'm a breast cancer patient here. Should we avoid all sweets?
Okay, you have to define what sweets is, no? So there are two kinds, no? So of carbohydrates. If the sweets is from a whole food source, like your fruits.
So like if you're eating a banana.
Yeah, your bananas, your mangoes, your grapes, your strawberries, your dates, no? Those are okay. Alright? Those are okay. Because it has antioxidants that can neutralize the sweetness or the effect of the sugar inside it.
And it has fiber.
It also has fiber, no? So it's beneficial. Fruits are beneficial for cancer patients. Okay? However, if the carbohydrate or the sweets is already refined, like your candies, your chips, your pastries,
your Kit Kat, Snickers bar, Mars.
Exactly. Okay, your sodas, sweetened beverages. No, actually, sweetened beverages on top of red meat and processed meat, those three food groups can shorten your life expectancy. Okay? It can shorten your life expectancy. So please avoid them. Okay?
Doc, talking about that, the sugar impact is very clear because so many times when I meet doctors and nutritionists and health buffs, they will tell me that coffee is bad for you. Yeah, that's like a general statement, right? Yeah. But my mother-in-law, if you cut her veins, blood will not come out, coffee will come out. All right, she drinks more coffee than water. All right, so but you know what? She's in her late 80s now. She's okay. And then our director, Mom Jermaine, in Simply Nature, she also, if you cut her veins the same, okay, coffee will come out. And she looks so young. She looks 15 years younger than her actual age, right? So it seems like these two people in my life directly around me contradict the information that people say that coffee is not good for you. The general statement that coffee is not good for you. However, you know, on closer look, both my mother-in-law and Miss Jermaine drink black coffee, no sugar, no milk. For the last 40 years of their life, no sugar, no milk, just black coffee itself. So I think this is a good example of how many people drink Starbucks and cafe coffees and have all these illnesses. And we hear the two women in my life are anti-aging, and when you cut their veins, coffee comes out instead of blood, you know. And what the difference is, they drank their coffee without milk, without sugar. So it's really clear that it is the milk and the sugar that creates all the health problems, right? Yeah. So I just thought I'd share that with everybody.
Thank you, Sir Sean. Thank you, Doc Jansen. Another question. Interesting one coming from Mr. Ramir Ramirez. Good evening po. Is seitan a safe for cancer patient?
Yes, it's a type of soy product. Okay, soy products, all types of soy products are okay to eat for cancer patients. In fact, soybeans, no, or your tofu, your soy products like your tempeh, your seitan, those can be very beneficial for breast cancer patients and prostate cancer patients. Okay, so eat more of your soy foods. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Jansen. Okay, another question coming from Mr. Bien Almendros. We've talked about stevia, but he's asking also about erythritol and monk fruit every time in our beverage. Is it okay?
Yeah, erythritol is okay. However, please don't use so much erythritol. Okay, it's an artificial sweetener, so it has it can taste very sweet for a very small amount. Okay, monk fruit is also okay. Monk fruit. However, if you really want the best bang for your buck, so go for your date sugar and your blackstrap molasses. Okay, and if you can buy monk fruit, no, then you can just eat the monk fruit directly. Okay, that would be better.
I'm actually curious. I've never seen what monk fruit looks like. I will Google that later. Okay. Yeah.
Alright, thank you, Doc. Okay, another question coming from Banji Padilla, whom I think is always listening to you, Doc, because her question is wheat bread simple or complex carbohydrate?
It's a simple carbohydrate, wheat bread. Okay, breads are simple carbohydrates. It's moderately processed already. So there are 3 levels of processing, no? So okay, let's use a apple, no, as an example. So apple, so imagine an apple, okay, that is the whole food, okay, because you can find an apple tree, okay. Now, when you process that apple, if you remove the skin, okay, remove the skin and then eat the skinless apple, that is moderately processed, okay. So, if you further process that apple into apple juice, that's ultra processed. Okay, so that is the level of processing. Okay, so the more processed the food is, then the unhealthier it becomes. Okay, that is in general. Okay. Yeah.
So, Doc, whole wheat bread is better than white bread.
Yes, whole wheat bread is better than white bread because whole wheat bread still has relatively higher amount of fiber compared to white bread.
Yeah, we can.
White bread doesn't have fiber.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like eating sugar.
Oh, wow.
But it's in a form of bread.
Yes,
white bread,
just
right?
like alcohol, it's also
Yes.
sugar.
However, please be careful. Breads in general are not healthy, especially also if you are hypertensive, because the amount of sodium that they use to make bread is very, very high. Although bread is not salty, but the sodium content is very high.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you take a look at the nutrition facts, that's why you have to read the nutrition facts. Take a look at your local wheat bread, any wheat bread that you can find in the supermarket. It will not pass my criteria of a carbohydrate to fiber ratio of less than 5.
Oh.
Yes, it will not pass. All wheat breads will not pass that criteria.
Okay, so even though what they say on a wheat bread, high fiber is relative to white bread,
yes,
but on a real absolute level, that means by the right standard, even wheat bread is actually low fiber.
Yes, it is low in fiber.
Okay.
Although it has fiber. So if you want to eat bread, okay, yes you can. However, you have to add other food in combination with the wheat bread. So for example, that would be your salad plus your wheat bread. Okay, your whole wheat pasta plus your wheat bread. Okay, so these things would have to be in combination. But yeah, for white bread, as much as possible, avoid them.
You know, it's not surprising that many of us have chronic illnesses. It's so hard to eat healthy, Doc.
Yeah, it's
really,
very
really hard
difficult.
to eat healthy.
It's really very difficult. Yeah.
So exercise is important.
Yes, exercise is as important, of course.
Yeah. Next question, Sheila.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, sir. Okay, another question coming from Ms. Haley. I'm a stage 3A endometrial cancer patient. Why do I always have elevated triglyceride?
Why do you always have
elevated triglycerides?
Triglycerides. Okay, the elevation of the triglyceride levels doesn't have anything to do with your cancer. Okay, the high triglyceride level would the biggest influence of that is your diet. What are you eating? Are you exercising? Are you overweight? Are you obese? What medications are you taking? But I would, rather than the medication, I would blame the first three things that I mentioned. Okay, it's your lifestyle. Okay, so if you want help in managing your triglyceride levels, or any other blood parameters that you're worried about, please go for a consult so I can make more specific recommendations. Okay.
Doc, another interesting question. Cancer patients actually go through a lot of stress because it is very stressful to find out that you have cancer, right? I know stress actually creates cholesterol.
It's cortisol.
Yeah,
cortisol.
which later breaks down into creates cortisol.
Yeah.
And that adds to your triglyceride levels indirectly later.
Indirectly, if you are for cortisol to influence triglycerides, right? You would have to be diabetic first.
Which is again very common. Many people are diabetic or pre-diabetic.
Yeah, so you would have to, because cortisol is diabetogenic. So meaning, if your cortisol is so high, it will mimic diabetes-like signs. Okay, so if your cortisol is so high, your blood sugar will also likewise be very high. Now, if for a very long time, your blood sugar is high, that means you are in the diabetic range already. Your insulin will, of course, be high as well to compensate. Now, if for a very long time your insulin levels are very high, that can form fats.
Yes, because there was a clinical nutritionist that was sharing with me. He had a patient who ate very little, but kept getting fatter and fatter. And her fats was literally coming from her very, very stressful work life.
Yes.
So even though she was eating salads,
Correct.
she was putting on weight. So it's amazing that stress can actually make you fat. So for a cancer patient, that could be another factor.
Yes,
You have to learn to.
That could be another factor. And if you are someone who's already experiencing this type of situation, that's really in the extreme levels already. So I mean, these people need help. Okay?
Yeah. So on a lighter note, if you want to lighten your day, you should have a consult, not with Dr. Jansen, but with his healthcare specialist.
because his healthcare specialist, Beth, you just look at her and you want to smile. So she will just brighten your day. So go for a consult. I think that will be very helpful to anyone who has cancer tonight. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Actually, the things that you have mentioned, it also applies to those who doesn't have cancer. So.
Yes, absolutely. For everyone that's listening and viewing tonight, just for your information, if you are born after the year 1960, so that means today you are 63 years old and below. If you are younger than 63 years old, you have almost a 50% chance of getting cancer in your lifetime. That is tremendously high. But that's the statistics for those who are born after 1960, which again means today you are 63 years old and below. As you continue to live on, there's a 50% chance that you will develop cancer within your lifetime. So I think that should be enough to let us all be aware and be very careful in living our lives so that we don't get cancer.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Doc. Right. Another question coming from Miss Nini Durante. What about honey instead of other sugars?
Okay, honey is better than table sugar, but honey still has a neutral effect on the body. It's neither beneficial nor harmful, but too much of it can push you to the harmful level. So if you want to use honey, please use it in moderation. Okay? But you can eat honey or use honey in your food as a sweetener. Okay.
Honey in Asian practices has been considered to be therapeutic. That's why you have Manuka honey that is cost $100 for a jar.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. And in Singapore, it's a big craze. You must get the highest UMF that you can. They actually measure the antioxidant activity. However, the way you eat that honey is not like candy. It's just like one small teaspoon a day, that's all. So that's nowhere close to, it's not a license. So even though honey can be what shall we say, used as a tonic, it's not a license to use it, to take lots of it, all right? So just be careful, as Doc Jansen said.
Right, thank you. Just before we go to the next question, for those of you who wish to have a consult with Doc Jansen Calalan, please know that the link to schedule with him is in the description box, okay, and also in the comment section. Okay.
Sheila,
you can also type in.
Yeah,
Yes.
Please finish your thing first. Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
I just wanted to say that you can also type in how to consult. We'll get in touch with you after. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I see
Yes, sir,
a
Fran.
question that is interesting by Gans Josie. Yeah, he asks, good evening, docs. What can you say about high-dose vitamin C IV? Does it really help cancer patients for recovery? Okay, I'll let Doc Jansen answer about vitamin C in general. And I think when you say high dosage of vitamin C, there's actually two types of high dosage in vitamin C. I'll let Doc Jansen answer vitamin C as an antioxidant for cancer patients.
Yeah. So if you use high dose vitamin C, and it's IV, vitamin C's innate function is an antioxidant. Okay. So we know that cancer thrives on inflammation. Okay. Cancer thrives on free radicals or on oxidation. Okay. Oxidation feeds cancer cells. So antioxidant. So vitamin C being an antioxidant will help mitigate that. Okay. However, vitamin C is utilized by a lot of metabolic processes in the body. So I'll just give you a few examples. You use vitamin C to manufacture collagen. Okay, everything in you have collagen. Okay, a human being is practically made out of collagen. So you can just imagine how much that is. Number two, you need vitamin C to absorb iron from your diet. Okay, you need vitamin C to make your blood vessels or to make your tissues healthy. okay, so that it doesn't deteriorate. Okay, so for this matter, helping cancer patients in the recovery process, vitamin C has a big role because it will help repair your body. Okay, so it can actually make the healing process better. So if you have a wound, right? You have an open wound. If you compare, those who have adequate intake of vitamin C or adequate vitamin C levels inside their body will have a better wound healing. Okay, assuming all else are the same. Okay, so that's my take on IV vitamin C. Okay,
and vitamin C is a relatively cheap form of supplementation. So I think in general, you can't really go wrong with vitamin C. However, as with all things, as in fighting cancer, you don't want to only use one thing. You want to also have a healthy lifestyle. You also want to have things like PPAR agonists, which actually triggers your body's immune response. So vitamin C is used as an antioxidant, but you need to also trigger your body's immune response. So there are other factors going in. So I would suggest that you go for a consult with Doc Jansen so that you can do not just vitamin C. Just imagine you want to attack the cancer. You don't want to attack only from the front. You want to attack from the side, from the diagonal, from the top, from the bottom. You want to get this cancer from every possible angle. Now I just want to talk about, because you said high dosage IV vitamin C. The other way people do vitamin C on IV drip is to actually make it a pro-oxidant. The dosage is so high that the vitamin C is actually toxic. In fact, it actually burns your veins as you pump it in. It works almost like a natural chemotherapy. So is it effective? Well, if you ask oncologists, they will probably tell you it's hoo-ha. I mean, as in, they won't say that they will tell you take chemotherapy drugs. Right? They won't tell you to take vitamin C IV drip as a pro-oxidant. Okay, but does it work for in its method of action? Yeah, it's theoretically there, and there are many people who take it, and it does have its effect, but it is also at toxic levels. Literally, it does burn your veins. So there are basically there could be better options than taking high dosage of vitamin C as an IV drip. Okay. Another thing is that vitamin C IV drip at pro-oxidant level. That means you, instead of vitamin C as an antioxidant, you pump so much of it that it actually becomes toxic. All right. It doesn't work on cancer stem cells. Okay. So it doesn't work on all sorts of cancer. It works on some, and it's limited in its ability to. So unlike chemotherapy, which really goes after a particular type of cancer, the vitamin C doesn't kill all the cancer cells. Cancer stem cells are protected from toxic vitamin C, just like your human cells, your healthy cells. So there's a limitation about it. Again, if you want to know the best options, have a consult with Doc Jansen or ask more questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. All right. So I hope that encourages everybody here in this program. We answer all sorts of questions, from chemotherapy, immunotherapy, to even IV drips of using vitamin C as a pro-oxidant. And like I said, we will give you an unbiased view. Yes, it does work for some cancers, but it doesn't work for all cancers. Namely, vitamin C as a pro-oxidant or a natural chemotherapy, it doesn't work for cancer stem cells.
Yes, sir. I think for this question, I am very pleased that they are asking these wonderful questions, because they are really trying to understand the details about what they are supposed or what they are about to go through. So the other options as well. So it's a good question. Thank you for your question. Okay, another question coming from Ms. Daisy. What is the best for cancer patients to avoid recurrence and metastasis?
Okay, the best way is to prevent it from getting cancer in the first place. Okay, but what if you already have cancer? Okay, best way is to have early detection. Okay, if your cancer is detected very early on, then you can be treated immediately. Okay? If you get your cancer removed early on, then the chances of it coming back would be very, very small. Okay? Also, if in case you already have an advanced type of cancer, very important that you finish your treatments. If your onco recommended for you to undergo chemotherapy, targeted therapy, immunotherapy, or whatever treatment, it is in your best interest to complete them. Okay. However, we acknowledge that there are a lot of side effects that comes with these treatments. So Simply Nature PPARs would be very helpful for that. Okay, and of course, it's very important to change your lifestyle. Okay, don't eat the foods that can bring harm to your body, and you have to exercise. Okay, I cannot emphasize this enough. Exercise is very important to mitigate fatigue, to mitigate numbness. Okay, to increase your quality of life, to reduce chances of recurrence, and to extend or increase your overall survival. Okay, so if you need guidance, please go for a consult so we can make the proper recommendations. Okay.
I also saw an earlier question. Someone asking, he or she, I can't remember. The question just zoomed by. Undergoing chemotherapy and was asking what's the best way to mitigate the chemotherapy side effect. So to that viewer, what a wonderful question, and it also shows that your discarte, your strategy is correct. All right. Chemotherapy is damaging, but it is also life-saving. So just because chemotherapy also hurts your body doesn't mean you avoid it, because for sure the cancer will also kill you, right? So you're hoping we are using chemo to try and kill the cancer before the cancer can kill you. Now, so your strategy is correct, which is to how do you minimize the side effects of a chemotherapy. It's just, I'll give a very simple example for everybody so that you understand. For example, you are cooking something in the oven, right? You're cooking something in the oven. Let's say you're cooking a cake, and now your cake is burning. Your cake is burning, all right? You either leave your cake in the oven and it will catch on fire and your cake is ruined, or even though it's so hot, you have to take the cake out. You have to reach into the oven and take the cake out, right? Nobody wants to do that. The oven is hot, but you have to take the cake out. So what do? You put on gloves so that you can withstand the heat in the oven and you are able to take the cake out. So that's what I'm just saying. I hope that example helps us understand. We don't have a choice if your cancer is advanced and it's very aggressive. It's like the cake is burning. You have to reach into that hot oven. You have to use chemotherapy. Yes, it's going to burn your hand. That's why you put on mittens. Go in as protected as possible. All right, and go for a consult. Doc Jansen uses Simply Nature PPAR protocols, which are already proven by research and by the many patients who use our protocol when they go for chemotherapy. It reduces a lot of their side effects. And for those of you who went through chemotherapy but could not take it, here's the good news. Many of Doc Jansen's patients and the patients of our other oncologists that work with us, the patients can't continue their chemotherapy because their red blood cell and white blood cell count drops when they're on chemotherapy. When they use the PPAR extracts, their red blood cell and white blood cell count goes up, and they also become stronger. So they are then able to resume their chemotherapy, and lo and behold, most of them after that have no side effects or very little side effects. They are able to complete their chemotherapy, and they are really doing well right now. We have another video that actually shows that if you healed yourself of cancer naturally without chemotherapy, your chance of the cancer coming back is actually higher than someone who healed themselves with chemotherapy. We can't go into a long explanation why that might be the case. You can search for that video. Just ask a question and maybe Sheila can direct you to that video. I think it's something about remission, all right, cancer rates and remission. Okay, so I hope that, hold on. Okay. Kath Tan, still on this topic. Okay, here's what she says. My friend has breast cancer and had mastectomy already and also did chemo. I wanted to give her probiotics, but her oncologist says not to take any supplement because taking them will also strengthen the cancer cells. Okay, Doc, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Why would oncologists say things like that?
Well, it's the same thing, no? I mean, oncologists study the treatment for cancer. Okay, so that's that's their field. Now, when it comes to lifestyle, okay, of course they haven't studied them in depth because it's not their field or it's not their focus of study. It's the same on my part. I mean, I'm a lifestyle medicine doctor. So I've studied different kinds of lifestyle, different foods, different behaviors, different behaviors, human behaviors, and its impact on health. So this is where I focus. Now, I am not an onco. So when it comes to, am I well versed when it comes to cancer treatment using chemotherapy, immunotherapy? Well, I understand how it works, but I do not administer them. Okay, so it's the same thing. I cannot say something about chemotherapy or immunotherapy and how to administer them. Okay, the same way as an onco, advising patients on what to eat, what foods are good and what foods are bad. Well, certain lifestyle behavioral patterns can influence the health of an individual. Okay, so to answer answer this, no, your comment, probiotics is perfectly okay for cancer patients. It will not harm the patient in any way. Okay, even if the patient's immune system is so down or it's already destroyed. Okay, it won't. In fact, it can even help the immune system, support the immune system. Okay. Also, eating, this one, the typical meat, veggies, and rice. I mean, I want to know what kind of meat this is because if it is red meat or processed meat, then those two types of meat product will in fact harm the patient because those two food products can increase recurrence. It is actually cancer causing. So why would you give a cancer patient something that causes cancer? Okay.
So that's from Doc Jansen. Now I'm going to give you my lowdown. Okay, this is a very important question that everybody asks. So I want everybody to repeat after me. Right? Everybody, you just repeat after me wherever you are across on your screen. Say after me. I am responsible for my own recovery.
For my own recovery.
Okay, this is very important, right? Guys, your oncologist, your doctor, Doc Jansen, myself, we are not God. We're not God, right? And our area of knowledge is specialized. You've got to understand, my family has, half of my family are bankers. That means they work in banks, all pretty high positions. The other half of my family are doctors, and their wives are also doctors. So my cousin is actually quite a famous thoracic surgeon, heart surgeon. His wife is a policy maker in the Ministry of Health. So yeah, so I come from that kind of background. You'll be very surprised when you hear the conversations in a doctor family. You will hear doctors arguing with one another about which is the best way to treat a patient. Alright, if you watch enough ER dramas on TV, doctors disagree on how to treat a patient. So I just want to advise everyone that would you even go to a family doctor who takes care of your general health on how to become fit? My answer is no, because I see many family doctors, they look as sick as their patients. Right? But you just go to the gym, you look at the fitness instructor, my goodness, he looks fit.
Yes.
Yes. So it's strange. The doctor studied physiology and anatomy, but yet is not physically healthy or fit. So I just want to say this to show that we all have specialized knowledge, all right? So when an onco says, to eat meat because you are losing weight from chemotherapy, his idea is very simple. Take protein. Protein builds muscle. But there is more than enough evidence. It's overwhelming, right? It's already accepted. But yet there are some doctors who, I guess, are not specialized or not well read outside of their area of expertise. So they will use a very simplistic approach to nutrition. Now, if you speak to my cousin, he's a heart specialist. And do you know that heart specialists today specialize on the left side of the heart and the right side of the heart? They don't just, they move from a general surgeon and doctor to become a cardiologist. And then they can be a cardiologist that specializes on the left or the right. My cousin actually specializes on, what's that called? Installing devices. So he's a full-fledged cardiologist, a great heart surgeon, and he specializes in inserting devices into the heart. So you got to see how specialized doctors generally are. So they should actually, when a doctor is very specialized, like an oncologist, what they share with you outside their field, you've got to do your own research. Okay? In fact, a general doctor tends to be more widely read than a specialist. So if you ask a general doctor about how the kidney works, he might be clearer than an oncologist. Am I going too far with this analogy?
Actually, it happens. Okay, I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
I just graduated from medical school.
No, you didn't you are saying when you just graduated.
When I graduated, just finished medical school, just passed the board exam years before. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. We had this medical mission. So, of course, in a medical mission, you would see a lot of different kinds of cases, right? But pretty common ones. I mean, I had this patient come to me, Doc, I have cough and colds. What meds do I? What good meds should I take? So I just, on top of my mind, the one that I always prescribe, then yeah, that's what I give. Then this surgeon asked me, Doc, what cold preparation medication do you prescribe?
Wow, a surgeon who actually spends more years in med school than you.
Yeah.
Have to ask you about how to treat a cold.
Yes. Now, there are different brands out there for cold medications, like your Neozep, your Dynatose, your Decolja, your whatever. No? There are a lot of brands out there. So, which brand is good? You would have to see sufficient number of patients to know what brand brings the most bang for your buck. Okay, so yeah, imagine this general surgeon asking me what cold medication or common cold medication to give the patient. So imagine, right?
And to Kath Tan, who is asking this question, I share with you something you probably have not had the privilege to see, because I've been to many doctors' conferences. You will see doctors asking other doctors simple questions like, you actually literally can hear like doctors who specialize in one disease ask another doctor, hey, what should my patient eat? So I just want to share with you, when a specialist talks, when they talk beyond their scope, they tend to be less knowledgeable than a general doctor. Okay, and for the reason that the uncle gave, I really don't mean to be mean, and I don't mean any disrespect, all right? So I just do it because I want to help all of you understand a very simple way of looking at this. The uncle said that if you strengthen your healthy cells, you will also strengthen the cancer cells. Right? That's the logic, and I'm reading here. I wanted to give her probiotics because her oncologist says not to take any supplement because taking them will also strengthen the cancer cells. Here's the thing. When you eat food, you strengthen your healthy cells, but guess what? You also strengthen the cancer cells because the cancer cells also need energy, right? So the very logic that she gave, or the oncologist gave, doesn't work in her own example. right? Here meat actually feeds cancer cells more than healthy cells. So again, that is already a wrong example. But I'll tell you why. Now that I tell you on this side, I'm going to defend the oncologist right now. There's a reason why the oncologist would rather have you eat food and not supplements. Okay? You want to know why your oncologist would rather recommend that you eat food like vegetables? Unfortunately, they also recommend eating meat, but that's wrong, okay? Instead of supplements. This is the reason why they rather you eat food than supplements. Because there are a lot of crazy, harmful supplements in the marketplace. Right? People are selling all sorts of funny things and claiming that it cures cancer. So your oncologist is not going to find out. He's so busy, he's not going to sit there to look at for you to bring your supplements for him to take a look. He has more important things to do than that. So that's why he will suggest to you not to take any supplements. Not because there are no good supplements, but because there are also many harmful supplements in the marketplace. Okay? So how do we solve this issue of having a harmful supplement, that you don't want to accidentally take the wrong supplement that could really hurt you instead of help you? That's when you go to another doctor like Doc Jansen, who specializes in these things. And then he will be able to give you a clear answer on whether to take certain supplements or not. So Doc Jansen, in his immunotherapy discussion with me, shared that taking probiotics for immunotherapy is actually not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
So the onco is correct. For certain types of immunotherapy, is actually not a good idea. But for other types of cancer, it's a good thing because a healthy gut actually produces anti-cancer organic chemicals like butyrates, right? So I hope that answers your question. Kath, I would hope that you recommend your friend to have a consult with Doc Jansen so that Doc Jansen will know what type of cancer she's having, what kind of treatment she's going through, and whether the probiotics that you are recommending to her is good for her or not. Okay? But I hope this lengthy discussion gives everybody a good idea not to be angry with your onco, to understand where they come from, but also not to just blindly take everything that they say outside of their field. But within oncology, within chemotherapy and everything, they are the experts. But anything outside of that, you also have to do your own research or find your own specialist like Doc Jansen, who specializes in that.
Thank you, sir. One thing's for sure, here in Simply, we just want you to have that good relationship, of course, with Doc Jansen and also with your oncologist. That's for sure. Okay? All right, another question coming from Miss Daisy. Is keto diet advisable and also fasting? Is it good?
Okay,
good question.
You have to hit replay. Okay, but to answer your question, no, ketogenic diet is not good for cancer. Okay?
Yes.
Because ketones can feed cancer. Okay. In the video, if you will watch it again, I showed a paper or a study where they found that where the liver is the place where the most ketones are produced, and usually breast cancer spreads to the liver really quite often. No? So it's one of the common places where breast cancer metastasizes. So this is one of the deductions that they got. Okay, and if you take a look at the overall survival, those who have higher ketone levels in their body tend to have shorter overall survival. Okay, it means you die sooner. Okay. So I would not advise you to go on a ketogenic diet if you have cancer and for any other disease.
Yes.
For that matter.
We've done the series that you want to for this ketones ketogenic diet for cancer. You search go to our YouTube channel, Simply Nature International's official YouTube channel, and I think it's one of the health talks under immunotherapy just this year. Either this year or December. Yeah. All right, it's a very recent one. We will actually show you why ketogenic diet is a bad idea for cancer. But Doc, I think sometimes maybe when a person goes on a ketogenic diet for the first 3 or 4 days, they might feel better, and then they think that the ketogenic diet is helping them. One reason why you feel better is because you did what we told you not to do today, right? Which is when you go on a ketogenic diet, you stop all your carbohydrates.
Yeah, you stop eating
which
all junk food.
which is exactly what we said tonight, right? Stop eating bread, stop taking sugar. So of course you feel good, not because of the ketogenic diet, but because you cut the sugar and the carbohydrates.
You cut the processed foods out.
All right, but when your ketones really start to increase because you stay on the ketogenic diet, then the negative side effects start to come in. Ketogenic diet has its therapeutic use. It's used by doctors on patients who has epilepsy, especially children. And I've talked to a doctor who specializes in it, and he says very clearly to me, even for therapeutic use, he never allows his patients to go for more than 6 months on keto. In fact, 3 months is what he usually prescribes. So again, that shows you even a doctor who specializes in ketogenic diets. And again, what I shared 10 minutes ago, when a doctor is talking about his specialization, you should listen. When he's talking outside his specialization, go and look for another doctor who specializes in that one, right?
Yeah, it's also the same reason why we doctors refer you to other
Yeah,
doctors.
that's why doctors say go and see the nephrologist, right? Go and see the heart specialist. Yeah, so actually the onco should tell you go and see a nutritionist if you want to know probiotics is good for you for cancer or not, all right? So I'll go and see a lifestyle specialist like Doc Jansen. Okay, but again, I spoke to a doctor who uses keto therapeutically, and he said he would never prescribe ketogenic diet to a patient for more than 6 months. Okay, so I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Doc Jansen. I can see some more questions are still coming in. Let's try to answer more questions coming from Mr. Ramiro Ramirez. Follow up to the question a while ago about seitan. You answered soy type is okay. How about flour? Flour type of seitan for cancer patient, is it okay?
Flour type. If it's flour type, okay. If you want to eat seitan, it's okay because it will not bring harm. However, it will not also bring benefit. Okay, so you have to combine seitan with other whole plant foods, or cook the seitan together with other whole plant foods. Okay, so use seitan to bring in texture to the food that you're eating. So that's it. Okay, but is it beneficial for cancer patients? Is it harmful for cancer patients? It's neutral.
Neutral.
Okay.
That's some good news. Okay.
I see Miss P. Panada asking a question again. This one is good. My sister oncologist has given instruction that while she's undergoing chemotherapy, don't use any herbal meds. Why is that so? Wow. I want to answer this because she asked it in such a good way. She asked not whether the onco is wrong or not. She asked, why does an onco do this? Okay. The reason is because if you meet different specializations, they tend to tell you the other side is wrong. Okay, so that's the case. You notice, right? If you ask, if you had gone to a naturopathic doctor tonight instead of attending Health Talk with Shen and Doc Jansen, if you had gone to a naturopathic doctor, what will the naturopathic doctor say on his program? Chemotherapy is bad. Surgery is bad. Chemo hurts your body. Go natural, right? That's what you would hear. Why? Because the naturopathic doctor studies only natural therapy, and when he studies it, he is taught how bad chemo is and how right he is to choose the course of natural therapy. Now, if you talk to an oncologist, he studies chemotherapy drugs. So he is taught by the people, by his professors, how great chemotherapy is and how weak natural therapy is. So they have differing opinions. That is why they will always encourage you not to do the other stuff. You go to a naturopath, he will tell you don't take chemo. You go to an oncologist, he'll tell you don't take supplements. But you will notice on our program here, even when someone asks me on vitamin C, I'll tell you an unbiased view. And the reason is because for me and Dr. Jansen, our goal is to give the cancer patient the best fighting chance. And in order to do that, we don't look at the cancer treatments from our perspective. We look from the cancer treatment from a patient perspective. So it's not about how we feel. It's not about defending our view. We open our mind and really look at it and understand it. Doc Jansen uses his understanding as a medical doctor in this area. I use my lens from a TCM perspective, and we appreciate whatever works for the patient. That's why I can answer you how intravenous vitamin C as a pro-oxidant is actually a natural chemotherapy. But I can also tell you there are limitations to it. Now, I want to answer why not herbal meds. Please understand, from a TCM perspective, herbal medicines are like drugs. It's just that they are not synthetically produced, which means many herbal medicines have side effects. Okay? Herbal medicines are different from food. Herbal medicine is different from food. Okay? If you eat PEPA tablets and the PEPA protocols and all the protocols that Dr. Jansen gives you, it's very safe because he uses food. Herbal medicine uses herbs. Herbs are plants that have medicinal value. I hope everybody gets a good picture of this. Almost everything that has medicinal value is toxic. Am I going too far, Doc Jansen?
Actually, it's correct.
It's correct.
There are a lot of drugs that we use now, pharmaceuticals, okay, that are derived from herbs. Aspirin, penicillin. So those medications are from herbs. Okay.
Yes. So you got to understand this, right? Will you take a drug if you're healthy? No, you won't. You won't take paracetamol if you're perfectly healthy, because you know that's not something I should take if I don't have a good reason to take it. Now, I want to tell you, it is the same thing for medicinal herbs. You don't take herbs unless something is not right in your body. But you can eat rice and potato and kangkong, whether or not you are sick or not. You can always eat a banana, right? But you shouldn't take ginseng every day. You can die of ginseng toxicity. Okay? So this is the reason why cancer patient, oncologists will tell your friend or your sister, is it, if I'm not wrong, not to take herbal meds. Okay, under what circumstances can you take herbal medication together with chemotherapy? You must make sure that the person introducing the herbal meds to you is not like some network marketing person or something like that. Okay, first of all, test the person. Does he or she understand chemotherapy? Okay, because he or she will tell you, yeah, you can take my herbal medicine, it won't clash with your chemotherapy. How do you know whether he knows what he's talking about? Ask him about chemotherapy. Is he familiar with the chemotherapy drugs that you're using? If you list the protocols, I mean what your oncologist is giving you, and the person gives you a blank look, how can you trust that person when he says that no, the herbal meds will not clash with your chemotherapy, right? This is the reason why patients trust Doc Jansen. When we have other guests like oncological surgeon Dr. Jimmy, Dr. Jimmy, in my private conversation with him, Dr. Jimmy was just telling me, hey, Shen, this Doc Jansen, he's like an oncologist. He's not an oncologist, but he knows all the drugs and even the latest treatments in oncology. So even though Doc Jansen himself doesn't prescribe chemotherapy, he is on top of the thing. He knows chemotherapy. He knows the latest cancer treatments. It's just that he doesn't use chemotherapy to treat patients. He uses lifestyle medicine. But for him to be able to give you, the patient, good advice, he has to know what the oncologist is using and what they're doing. So if your sister, it's just here. So if your sister is interested in getting advice about the herbal meds, test the person who's recommending the herbal meds to your sister. If that person understands chemotherapy, the name of the chemotherapy, what type of chemotherapy, for example, cisplatin is a platinum-based chemotherapy, what is its characteristics. if that person is very well versed in chemotherapy, then that person is actually very well positioned. He knows what the oncologist knows, and he knows what the oncologist doesn't know. Right? So perhaps that would be the circumstance in which I will actually be open to really try maybe combining chemo with any particular herbal meds. So that the person that you're getting advice from must know both fields very well. That's where you can begin to trust that person. So if you're not sure, I recommend Doc Jansen, okay? Because he really knows his stuff, and he will, whatever protocols he uses is food, so that's extra safe. It's not herbal meds, it's food. And he knows his stuff on the chemotherapy side and the surgical side and even in the immunotherapy side. So I hope tonight we had a good discussion on this topic.
And to be honest, there are a lot of good questions. Really.
These are good questions.
It makes the conversation really interesting.
Yeah, all right. But everybody repeat after me, okay? I am responsible for my own recovery. Right? So, don't just trust blindly. I will tell you right now, your oncologist is advising you from the goodness of his heart. But his knowledge is limited. All right? So, you are the patient. And we are not farmers. You are not your grandfather. All of us know how to Google now. All of us know how to go on a live webinar like tonight. All of us can search for information. And I think it's very important that we are responsible. And I hope that tonight, me and Dr. Jansen has given you easy to understand. And it makes sense to you when you hear it. It makes sense to you. And you're now more confident. And you know what to look for when you want to choose someone to treat you. Right? What advice to take and when their advice needs to be confirmed. Not thrown away. Don't just ignore what your uncle tells you. But you go on to the right specialist, the right person, and then he will give you a better answer. The uncle is just answering from what he knows, and he is expert in his area, but not an expert outside of that. Okay? I hope that helps, and that clears up everyone, because I know this is the question. Everybody, Doc, you said not to eat meat, but my uncle told me to eat more meat. Right? It seems so contradictory. Both of them have medical certificates. Doc Jansen's certificate comes from St. Luke's University, right, which is the top med school in Philippines. So I don't know which school your uncle graduated from. Okay, so but that's not to say anything. What I'm just trying to say, I'm not bad mouthing your uncle. I'm just bringing a point up. There are so many things that we can compete on to say who is more right, who is more prestigious, whose school is better. By the end of the day, it just goes down to this. We all have specialized knowledge. Make sure that you stick within your area of specialization. So Doc Jansen will never tell you what is the right chemotherapy cocktail to take. He leaves that to your oncologist. That's why he refers you to oncologist. But he'll tell you what foods to take, what supplements to take together with the chemotherapy. So that you will finish your chemotherapy and will not have you'll stay in remission. All right, I think that's the main thrust of tonight. We really answer this conflicting thing. At the end of the day, guys, you have to make that choice. Yes.
All right. Of course, just before we say goodbye to them, and having once again, our topic for tonight is in line with the World Cancer Day. All right. Just very short and quick parting words coming from both of you. Starting off first with Dr. Jansen, maybe.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for staying with us until the very, very end. I know the episode has been hours already, So thank you everyone. So I hope you guys learned so much, and just with all the questions that keeps coming. So it's really exciting, doing this every week. Okay, next week we're still going to have another episode. I forgot what topic is it, so Sheila, please do the honors.
Heart disease. We're doing.
I will.
We're doing heart disease. All right. Okay. Very important. Heart disease. Whatever causes heart disease, is a precursor to cancer development later down your life. Yeah.
So again, this topic that we've been discussing just now, it will still apply for heart disease. Okay, the same thing applies. Cardio, lifestyle medicine. So if you want to know more, please watch next week's episode.
And from me, I really want to thank our viewers today for being honest. For being honest to tell us, hey, how come what we hear on your program today is opposites from what my uncle tell me? And I hope that I have given you sufficient understanding. All right. Again, repeat after me. I am responsible for my own recovery. So trust your specialists in their area of specialization. Do your due diligence and trust your own good judgment also as well. All right. And like I said, even the simple advice by the uncle saying not to take supplements because it might feed the cancer cells, that's not the right answer. Honestly, from my perspective, that's not the right answer. Don't take supplements because if I were the uncle, this is what I would say. Don't take supplements because I don't know what supplements you're taking. It might be something that's harmful. That's what I would have said. Because Because the logic that the supplements will also feed the cancer cell applies to your food as well. Your food that you eat also feeds the cancer cells. So that's not the real concern. I really believe the real concern your uncle has when they tell you not to take supplements is because he doesn't know what supplements you're taking and you could be taking the wrong one. You can solve that by consulting the right expert like Dr. Jansen. And with that, I really want to thank you. Please do us a favor if you enjoyed. From all the comments I see that that you felt that tonight, someone just typed, I am responsible for my own health. Yes, thank you. You made it worthwhile for me tonight. Please share this program and make every week so lively. Please share with your friends. Let the word go out that here at the Simply Healed webinar every Thursday, you can get you can find the truth, or at least I will equip you with the ability to decide for yourself what is fake and what is real, and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. All right? And I think that's the most useful because you are responsible for your own health. See you guys next week.
Thank you. Thank you, Sir Sean. Thank you, Dr. Jansen. And I'm sure all our viewers are also thanking the both of you for answering all the questions. Not actually all, because we have a lot of questions that we weren't able to answer tonight. So don't worry. Please stay tuned next week, because next February 9th, Thursday as well, 7:30, we'll be having the topic Beat Heart Disease, a webinar on heart. So can we all say happy Feb Ibig to everybody? It's actually 2 mega sale today as well. Okay, so don't forget to check out our online shops with Lazmall and also Shopee to check out our Simply Nature PPARs as well. Okay, so here in Simply Nature, we are very happy to have you tonight, and we hope to see you once again in our next webinars to come, because here in Simply Nature, we are always with you from start to healing. Thank you, everybody. Good night, and God bless you all.